Get him out of here.
How does that not indicate to you, like, hey, sometimes, like, these prospects are awesome?
Donald, get back. They snatched that chain, boy. Get back. What's all gonna do about it? Popeye snatched that chain. Get back. We want that snack wrap. They got 3 flavors. Y'all got 1. Get back.
Hey everybody, welcome into the Big Factor here on the Big Play Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. Ryan Tyler, Jack O'Rourke, Nick Padone, and Rob Watson. Happy Tuesday, fellas. I start the show off like I do every single time. Before we dive into sports, feelings matter, guys. How are we doing today?
Ryan, I think we got to address the elephant in the room and start with you here on how you're doing.
I don't know if there's an elephant, but we had a pre-show discussion. I have to get some cavities filled.
Yeah.
Had to get a little bit of rescheduling. I found out I have to get my wisdom teeth out, so I'm not looking forward to that. But it's just a part of life. My teeth are growing in, and I don't want them to mess up my teeth. Never had braces, so I'm thankful for that. So got to get that done. I don't know if it's an elephant, though, Jack.
That is nice. Not having braces is big.
The major question, though, is that they said your wisdom teeth caused your cavities,
Yeah.
which is just perplexing me.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
I didn't go to orthodontic school, if that's even what it's called, so I'm not quite sure how that works. I just listen and I follow instructions.
Well, Ryan, as they say, like, this too shall pass. We're all going to get through this as a unit. You know, a cavity for one guy is a cavity for all 4 of us. So we're gonna
Good
fight
luck
forward.
on that. Wisdom teeth had me knocked out for like 2 days when they ripped mine out. They had to break mine in half to pull.
So
them out.
I asked ChatGPT here, can wisdom teeth cause
so now we're getting into
cavities?
this.
And it's confirmed, and they give a number
Second
of
thing confirmed.
reasons.
So,
So,
you're,
but is
what,
it
what you're
under the
telling me...
tooth? Are they gonna have to fill in a cavity that's like in his gum?
So what
Let me
you're
ask the good people here at ChatGPT.
so what I'm hearing is that a dentist,
Factor, powered by
dentist
AI.
knows about teeth.
Yeah,
Is that what
they're
we're
not
getting at?
scamming
Is
you.
that the
They know
conclusion?
much more about teeth than I do.
So it's not like going to get an oil change. You're like, oh, here's $80 for this new, windshield wiper fluid.
Yeah.
Like no, they're not
They
showing
only
you
they
here.
only charge me $100 to put air in my tires.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, guys, let's talk about some Cleveland Browns football. Cleveland Browns dominate 31-6.
Tyrese Proctor.
You know, the win might not mean much in the grand scheme of things, but here's Cleveland Browns fans. We take solace in wins because we need to, because they come few and far in between. But the Browns dominate this one 31-6. This was a game that the Cleveland Browns needed to win, and quite frankly, they should have won. This was the game atmosphere that the Cleveland Browns need, it seems, this season if they're going to get a win. A bad weather, you're going to have to run the ball 30-plus times. We saw Quinshon Judkins get 25 touches. I was clamoring for him. I slammed the over on FanDuel Sportsbook, over 20.5 touches for Quinshon Judkins. That was the formula. That translated to 3 touchdowns. We'll start here, guys. Kevin Stefanski's hot seat has cooled down a little bit. Do we agree?
Yeah, for 1 week, you have to. You can't fire a coach after a win. So for 1 week, it definitely quieted. However, I do feel like, and especially now that we've had a little bit of time to digest this game, I feel like this is going to be one of those things where we more so, like, we had a really bad cut that probably needed to go to the emergency room, probably needed some stitches. We literally just put a Band-Aid on it, and then we're going to take that Band-Aid off in 7 days and realize that the cut is still wide open, and you still probably need and now it's infected.
As far as the hot seat, you dropped a couple ice cubes on your pan while it was on the stove. Like it'll do something, kind of. Technically, it did do something, but you know, we move, we see. Gonna take a lot more than that to get him all the way off the hot seat. But win's a win.
Now, I will say that to Rob's point there, it's going to take a little bit more than that.
It's
However,
possible.
we've seen guys build off like wins like this. And I mean, like, it was an ugly win. Like, even though the score was 31-6, I would factor in the passing game being as bad as it was. Like, that was an ugly win. You needed multiple takeaways from your defense. You needed to set the sport back multiple decades and break out the Wildcat offense at the goal line, because you can't trust your quarterback to drop back right now.
Can't even trust him to hand the ball.
No. So this is so there is a lot working against this entire operation still. However, if they could figure out the offense, and I know this is what we've been saying quite literally since training camp, but this defense showed you that they're really good. This defense showed you that they are a playoff caliber defense, and the rest of the team is really what's holding them back. I really think when I look at this schedule, like, there are winnable games on it. When I look at this schedule, like, you're going to beat the Jets. A couple of the division games are potentially winnable because of how out because of how bad those defenses are. And because your defense is so good, you have the potential to be like the best of the worst in the NFL, which is usually never a good thing.
No,
because
it's
it
not.
means your draft pick
It means
isn't
we're
going to
like
be
the
as
seventh
good.
worst team in the NFL.
You need a quarterback. That's really what this boils down to. You have a $230 million albatross on your roster. I know all of the smart people with their spreadsheets and the cap space guys are like, oh, but see, Andrew Berry restructured the money for 10 years down the line, and it doesn't really matter. No, it matters. The fact of the matter is they had to construct the island of misfit toys and call it a four-man quarterback competition. They brought in Joe Flacco, guys, not because of the magical playoff run in 2023. They brought in Joe Flacco because they could pay him the NFL's equivalent to minimum wage. It was the same story with Kenny Pickett. And then obviously you've got two mid-round rookies to bridge you the rest of the way. Like, unless you've got a quarterback in this league, you've got nothing. The Browns don't have one. They've currently got nothing.
Yeah, I think this win was a little bit like if Browns fans are like just a bad childhood, right? This was like when you get taken out once a month to go get your McDonald's ice cream cone. Like that's about what this was, because if you look at next year, there's a little over 30 players on the roster currently that are signed to play football next season. We're already looking at literally zero cap space. Deshaun Watson, as you just mentioned, Nick, is due $80 million next year. Like, we are not even close to the light at the end of the tunnel. So it's a nice win, yeah, but there's a lot that needs to go down over the next year and a half before we even think about anything else.
Well, let's talk about that Cleveland Browns offense. Obviously, the only thing they really have going for them now, the bright spot on the offensive side of the ball, is Quinshon Judkins. But beyond that, the passing game is an absolute mess. Harold Fannin was your leading receiver. And granted, all of this, it was a rainy day. Your defense kept you in the game. They were scoring, so you didn't really need to throw the ball around the yard. But Harold Fannin, your leading receiver, just 4 catches, 36 yards. Jamari Thrash was your leading wide receiver with 1 catch for 23 yards. Jerry Jeudy continues to have a bad season, just 2 catches, 17 yards. And Malachi Corley in the stat sheet with 2 catches, 17 yards. This team's in an interesting spot because we talk about the rookies, and that's one of the lone bright spots. But there's so many deficiencies, the offensive line and mainly the receiver room. Now, I know there's a guy named Carnell Tate who's balling out in Columbus that a lot of fans would like to see him come up to Cleveland and play football for our Cleveland Browns. Where do the Browns go from here in terms of the receiving room, guys? How can they fix this? And I know it's very hinging on the quarterback, the guy that's throwing them the ball, but I think one of the biggest concerns is, and you know this is an offensive league, doesn't matter who's throwing the ball if you don't got people to catch it.
I have an idea, Ryan. I think at the trade deadline, the Browns would be smart to do a little Guardians, do a little buy sell. You know, you could sell off some of the older, expensive guys on this roster while buying up some young players, like specifically at the wide receiver position. I really think that if you want to get any sort of real evaluation on Dylan Gabriel and at some point Shedeur Sanders this season, you can't have Harold Fannin and Jamari Thrash putting up those type of numbers to get a real evaluation. So I wonder if at the deadline they trade off like a Jerome Ford and, you know, a Shelby Harris, but maybe you buy low on a receiver that hasn't really popped. I know I've floated a Donnie Mitchell's name on the program before. I just think that, like, if you want to have any shot at evaluating anything this year, that's your only hope at improving that position, is to just buy low on a couple guys. We've seen in previous years, like, Barry loves trading for wide receivers. And you're going to go into April's draft with over 10 draft picks. A lot of those are like 4th and 5th round picks. Those don't really mean a whole lot. Like, if you could flip one of those for a failed 2nd round receiver, you might as well try it.
I think Nick is onto something with that, but it's just something they got to start pouring resources into, which they simply have not. If you trade for a guy and you bring in a retread receiver, you need that, but we also need to spend a top pick on a guy that's going to be a stud and come in and be a true number one. A lot of this would fall more into place with what we currently have if you had that standout number one receiver. Jeudy, I used to say would be a good 2. He's looking a lot more like a 3 nowadays. But say you make a move, you get a Mitchell. I've heard people say things like Marvin Mims. There's guys out there that are 3s and 2s on other teams that might be solid over here. And then you draft the top guy and you retain Jeudy because of the contract, and you got a solid 3 with Fannin being an okay tight end or a better tight end. Maybe he makes a jump year 2. That's when you start to build out the room. But it's not something you're going to fix just at the trade deadline. You're going to have to actually put time and effort into it instead of drafting guys in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round like they've always done.
I wanted to ask you guys real quick about the trade deadline in general. What do you guys think the odds are that we move on from David Njoku being on the last year of his contract? 'Cause I think that's one that would make fans upset a little bit, but I could kind of see why it would make sense.
It's tough because I think you could certainly get along with trading him. Harold Fannin has certainly been a bright spot in this offense. But again, he's not a guy that's going to block as well as a David Njoku. And there is something to say about trading a guy who's been here for so long, who's a leader in that locker room. Like, I remember when the whole discussion about trading Myles Garrett was, yes, you could get the high draft capital, but you need that leader. And you've seen Myles Garrett make such an impact this season yet again. Like, you need one of those guys, the staple of your franchise, to continue the rebuild. I don't want to imagine a world where we don't have Myles Garrett on our team. Like, he is that good. So I'm hesitant to trade David Njoku for that same reason on offense, especially given how bad our pass catchers are outside of right now probably Harold Fannin. So I'm a little bit hesitant, but I'd understand moving on from
I
him.
could buy it either way. I just think his body is going to start breaking down. We're going to start seeing the injuries because he plays such a physical brand of football. And this would be the time to cash in if you could get him off for like a 2nd or 3rd round pick. This would be it. Granted, don't know what we would do with it. It's a big risk, but I could buy the argument either way. If you trade him, I'm not mad. If you get good value, if you keep him, I'm not mad either.
Yeah. I think the current injury, you mentioned the body breaking down, I think that clouds things just because like these couple of weeks right here are always so important as other teams try to get a last minute scout on what that player can do currently, how quickly they could assimilate a new player into their system. So I don't know what really happens with David. I personally would like to keep him just because like I really think that your biggest issue right now is pass catching and offensive line. And to trade a guy like Njoku, you're going to delete one of your best pass catchers on the roster, which that's an indictment. You know, like your tight end should probably be like your 3rd option at best, maybe 4th or 5th. And then you're also depleting an important piece on that offensive line. Like, how many times do you see Njoku be the guy that's chipping like a TJ Watt or something? So I personally would just keep him. What are you going to do? You trade him for a 3rd or 4th round pick, and then you're going to set that on fire in April anyway. Like, I would just keep him here.
Well, 7 games into the season. It feels like we've already had a whole season already, but 10 games to go. Up next, we take on the Patriots in Foxborough. We'll talk about the rest of the season expectations for our Cleveland Browns when we get back right here on The Big Factor. Hey everybody, welcome back into the Big Factor here on the Big Play Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. Ryan Tyler, Jack O'Rourke, Nick Padone, and Rob Watson. We're continuing our talk on the Cleveland Browns, looking ahead on the rest of the season schedule, what our rest of season expectations are. But before we do that, I got to tell you about our great friends over at Fairway Ford. Fairway Ford is the biggest Ford truck dealership in the entire state of Ohio. They have the largest selection of Ford F-150s and Super Duty trucks, and no, they won't be beat on price by any other Ford dealers. Don't let that short drive to Canfield, Ohio prevent you from saving thousands, yes, that's thousands of dollars on your new dream vehicle. Over 500 vehicles in stock in their lot as we speak right now. Fairway Ford, the largest inventory of new Ford trucks, lowest pricing and same hometown level of service. Scan the QR code now or go give the website a visit, fairwayfordohio.com. Again, that is fairwayfordohio.com. Well, guys, 7 games into this season, 10 more to go. Up next, we travel to Foxborough to take on the 5-2 AFC East division leading New England Patriots. New regime under Mike Vrabel. Drake May looks like the next blue chip great young quarterback in the league. Man, it doesn't seem like it's fair you go from Tom Brady to that in just half a decade. But guys, we got to talk rest of the season expectations. Now, we're 2-5, but there's a lot of football to play. And yes, this is probably a bad question, but it's the topic because you did get the must-needed win. Browns. Is it possible, guys, the season could turn around and you could find a wacky way to slip your way into the playoffs.
Ryan, I don't know that you could slip your way into the playoffs. I will say
I
that
agree, it's silly,
the
Ryan.
the path is there, though. It really is. Like, the path is there because the AFC North is so wonky. Like, you're third in the AFC North now. You're not even in the basement as bad as this season's gone. Like, they do technically have a path. You would have to just get hot right here. Like, it would have to be right here. Like, it's not a scenario where you can, get right and, like late in the season, make a push. Like, you would have to really turn things on right here. And if not right here, then right after that bye week. What I'll say is that win against the Dolphins really did show me that, like, they are going to win more games. So, like, for everybody at home that wants to tank and wants to pull up the mock drafts and figure out, like, who the first 3 picks are going to be, like, I don't know if the Browns are going to have a top 3 pick this year unless they use both of the trades to move up. Like, I think they could beat the Jets. I think they could beat the Raiders. I think they could beat the Titans. Like, that's 3 more wins right there. You've already got 2. You're looking at a 5-win ball club. Over under in Vegas was at 5.5. So you're right about where everybody kind of thought you were going to be. You knew the first 6 games were going to be brutal. They were. You were able to beat the Dolphins. So now you just got to beat the opponents on the schedule that you can beat. And I ultimately think that if you take care of business against those opponents, like if you beat the Jets, Raiders, and Titans, like that probably does wonders for Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry's staying power in Cleveland.
I've never been a fan of the tank talk. There's no quarterback that you look at this year going into the next year for the draft that you're like, that's the home run pick. There's no Trevor Lawrence, there's no Joe Burrow, and even if there was, I'm still not a fan of the tank talk because the Browns, they're probably going to get it wrong. Let's be real. They're probably going to get it wrong. But if they don't, guess what? There's a number of quarterbacks, and we don't even know if they're going to be taking a quarterback in the first round, Rob. We talked. There's so many deficiencies. You need a wide receiver one. You need multiple pieces on the offensive line. And winning cures all. Like, it's so fun to win, as funny as that sounds, but it is. Like, the vibes are higher. You got guys like Miles who continue to play hard when the team wins. Winning is the most important thing in the National Football League, and that will never change.
Ryan, another layer of like the anti-tanking thing as well is that like the literal one thing that this team has to hang their cap on right now, it's the fact that this rookie class is really good. And we're watching the World Series, in the AL and NL Championship Series, and you see that like the Guardians were in the same conversation as some of these teams as by far the worst team from a talent perspective in the MLB playoffs, but they have a really good culture. So I think like not tanking and winning the winnable games on your roster is only going to show the young guys that you're trying to build this thing around, hey, maybe this isn't same old Browns anymore. Even though we're not a great team, we still can beat up on the opponents that we're supposed to beat up on. Like, I think if you're Mason Graham and winning is all you know at Michigan, and you're Quinshon Judkins and you just won a national championship, Harold Fannin, who had a really good year in the MAC last year, like, these guys know winning, and all the losing, like, it poisons you. Like, I want to keep that poison ball as far away from these kids as humanly possible. So if that means accidentally winning a couple more games here to close out the year, I don't mind it at all. Keeps the vets bought in, and it also keeps that poison ball, same old Browns culture away from these young kids where they think they could just go along with having a good personal performance like Graham, Judkins, and Fannin all have, but be like, we lost, whatever, is what it is.
I wouldn't even call that accidental. I think we're just simply more talented than a couple teams that we have to play left on the schedule, and that's something you need to get used to, beating those teams. I could see us winning like 4 to 6 games. Like, we end the season anywhere in that range. I would hope it would be up closer to 6-11 because that one would show improvement from last year. Does that save his job? I don't know. It might. It depends who you beat. Depends how it looks. Expectations aren't super high, but currently they're looking to exceed what I expected in the preseason. So
you won 3 games last year. Let's say you win 5 this year. Nick, you talked a little bit about job security for a quick second. Do you think what is like the number of wins where you'd be comfortable saying they're for sure coming back?
It's how it looks. I don't really, because like they could go out in those
games. Yeah, and the offense could look awful every game, and I'm going to say you still need to be fired because you're not doing your job.
But inversely, say like they start playing like uncomplimentary football in the opposite way that they're playing now, where the defense completely melts melts down and the offense finally does figure out, then I would be like, okay, wait, we actually did unlock something.
Or you're
where we
losing games because special teams is still awful as always. Even though they had a good week this week, they forced a turnover and the kicker made all his kicks. But there's possibilities. It depends how it looks. If you're getting absolutely getting the doors blown off you in the games, even though it's competitive teams, keep it competitive so we're not looking like it was Ravens versus Browns, Lions versus Browns. If those games are looking closer and then you're winning, you're handling business versus the Titans, there's something to be said. And then one of the quarterbacks showing some type of promise. For me right now, it's not Dylan. Maybe it'll be Shedeur. Who knows? But there's a lot of stuff that can happen to save his job, and he's going to need a lot of things to go right.
Let's talk about that. It's definitely not Dylan. I know there are a lot of people trying to put this shield in front of him and be like, hey, won his Browns debut, like at home, that's really good. The fact that he hasn't turned the football over in 3 games yet is really good. Like, I get that he has,
in his cleats.
I get that he does things that it's like, okay, this is a guy that it's worth keeping around. It's a guy that candidly, he's worth continuing to start. Like, I want to see what he does against New England, sure, but like, I haven't been blown away by one thing that he's done since he's been in there.
I'll say this because a lot of people got on him about how his stats looked. No, the receiving game, we knew it was going to be bad in the wins. I'm more on just his hesitancy to take any shots. We're seeing him miss completely open guys for touchdowns. You're throwing it to a guy who fell down. When you watch the dude that was supposed to be covering Jerome Ford run into him, you know,
and
he's wide open.
That's supposed to be a strength.
It's
the process
like stuff like that I'm not seeing, so I just know. And then you don't have the arm talent. You can't see the middle of the field. But he's a good guy you could bring in, and then maybe he'll go, 215, 0 interceptions, and he'll keep you in the game. But
Gabriel not being able to process like Iron Man without his suit. All right, but the schedule does lighten up. Obviously, you're at New England. Then after that, I should say it lightens up. Your bye week, then you take on the Jets. You have no business losing that game coming off a bye against that team. You're home against Baltimore, then you got teams like Vegas. San Fran's a tough one, but then Tennessee, you're at Chicago versus Buffalo versus Pitt at Cincinnati. So there are definitely winnable games in the schedule. All right, we got to take another break. When we get back, flipping over to the hardwood, Cleveland Cavaliers tip off their season tomorrow, Wednesday night in Madison Square Garden. NBA championship expectations. How fun is that to say? We'll talk about that when we get back right here on The Big Factor. Hey everybody, welcome back to The Big Factor here on the Big Play Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. Ryan, Tyler, Jack O'Rourke, Nick Padone, Rob Watson. We're flipping over to NBA. Our Cleveland Cavaliers getting ready to tip off their season in New York. Before we do that, I got to tell you about our friends over at Garage Beer. Garage Beer comes in just 2 flavors, classic light lager as well as a classic lime. No frills, no bitterness, none of that IPA taste. It's just beer-flavored beer. Scan that QR code now or go give their website a visit, drinkgaragebeer.com, to find local retailers who sell garage beer near you. Again, that is drinkgaragebeer.com. Well, the NBA is back. Tonight we got a couple of games, but our Cleveland Cavaliers start their campaign tomorrow in New York. Right now on FanDuel Sportsbook, 3-point underdogs on the road. All right, guys, game 1 of a long, long season. You don't want to take too many conclusions away from this game, but it is against New York, one of the favorites to win the East, along with our Cavaliers. How much stock should you put into this Cavs game? Game 1 of 82 in Madison Square Garden.
I mean, if we're doing the Browns overreaction after game 1 of 82, when you're sitting down, DeAndre Hunter might not even play, Darius Garland out. You're missing a lot of guys. It's a long road. Everyone knows this in basketball. Don't put too much stock into this, guys. They might still go out there, they might still go out there and get a win. You still got plenty of talented players on the court. Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley still suiting up, but don't worry about win or loss. Look at how the young guys are performing, how the rotation builds out, what Kenny's trying to do, new additions, all that. that stuff. But long road, wide open Eastern Conference. When the Cavs hit their stride and get healthy halfway through, that's when you can start making conclusions about the team.
Yeah, it's one game, and you're underdogs in this game, and I know that's going to be a surprise to a lot of people because you're undermanned and they're at really full strength.
They're at
like,
home.
and you look at and they're at home, right? So when you look at this thing, like you really could be out without Garland, Strus, and Hunter, who are 3 impact players for the team last year, and how dominant they were in the regular season. Like I think some people might get a little bit confused, maybe is the word to use, when this Cavs season starts, because last year you went 15-0. Like people forget, like the Cavs frog was streaking the streets of Cleveland until damn near Thanksgiving last year, because the team didn't lose a game until like November 16th. So this year might be a little bit different. This year, and we heard from Tony Pesta on Big Play Cleveland yesterday. You guys should go check out that interview. Like the moves that they made this offseason show you that they don't really care as much about the regular season, and they're much more focused on the playoffs.
Nick, we had that conversation yesterday a little bit in the office. Whatever the win total was, I was saying I'm not mad if they don't hit it. Whatever
57.5 on
like
FanDuel Sportsbook.
Completely. If they win like 52 games, guys, don't stress. You're seeing they've brought in a guy that literally can't play back-to-backs who's supposed to be a key piece to when we get to the playoffs. They bring in veteran guys. You're Darius Garland already out. Max Strus sitting out. He's going to take it till he's all the way healthy. He doesn't have any reason to rush back. DeAndre Hunter, whatever his injury is, some that's a game-time decision if they rest him. It shows you that they're worried about keeping guys ready for when it matters. The regular season in the East, it's really not going to matter. You're going to beat a lot of bad teams anyways. You're going to have a high seed. And there's only one team you really need to beat in the East, and it's New York. So you just need to focus on being geared up and ready to do them when it matters the most.
All right, buy or sell. The regular season is not important for the Cleveland Cavaliers because after a 60-plus win season last year, we know how it ended. And a lot of fans are going into this year, well, nothing in the regular season matters because you could get that top seed, and it could all be for nothing.
Yeah, complete buy. I also told Nick about this. I think home court advantage in the playoffs is something that people put a lot of stock into. That isn't always the most important because a lot of time, it's very rare you see the series go home, win, away, where every team just home game to 7 series, and that's it. Series starts when an away team wins the game. You got to win on the road to win in the playoffs. It's that simple. And for the Cavs, to me, there's no difference if you're the 1, 2, 3 seed. If they get to the 4, that means some people probably got hurt, but they're so talented. They're going to have a top seed. They're going to have home court for most of the playoffs. It's going to be fine for them.
So, like, while I want to say that, like, it doesn't matter at all, don't even watch until playoffs, like, the one thing that there is to watch for is how this team comes together, especially when they get their guys healthy, that are going to be players in the postseason. Like, I'm curious to see really Lonzo Ball's fit from Jump Street, how that looks with Garland, how it looks without Garland. Like, there still are reasons to watch, and there still are things that this team needs to accomplish in the regular season to make sure they're in a good spot, just from like a culture standpoint, just from a cohesion standpoint for when the playoffs start. Like, you want to be playing your best basketball in those months. So if it starts off a little bit slower in October, November, December, like, there is really no reason to panic. You want to be playing your best basketball in March and April and May.
You know how the
Ryan,
Browns...
always reporting Rafa said on Full Court Cleveland last week.
Thank
That
you,
episode
Sarah.
dropped on Thursday night. That anyone who says the regular season doesn't matter is an idiot. He knows a lot more than basketball about me. I'm going with that guy.
It's like how the Browns said that this year was an experimental year. They're going to figure out all the kinks. They got to get the rotation. You got to keep everyone healthy. Of course, it does. You can't simulate through the regular season. It's not 2K.
Not a video game, Rob.
It's
not a video game,
They're
Rob.
going to have to figure a lot of stuff out, but I'm very confident that they do. But ultimately, what they're doing is just gearing up to be ready for the playoffs. And I don't expect them to win 60-plus games again this year because they're going to have to figure out, they're going to throw some stuff at the wall, see what it is. You got to figure out new rotations with a very deep roster. So.
Can I get your guys' team in the East that scares you the most for the Cavs?
Outside of the Knicks,
Yeah, New York.
Nobody scares me in the East. It's
Yeah.
a complete and utter failure if they don't make it
I
through this
agree.
Eastern Conference.
I agree.
a lot of people.
Love
I mean,
the Magic.
everybody last year, they did think it was going to be Cavs, Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. It turned out to be the Pacers and Knicks. So is this an Eastern Conference preview? Game 1.
I mean, it should be, but again, basketball is it's a long season. We're talking about this, and we'll be talking about it again in March, April. And, you never know how everyone holds up, but preview. If there's another team, it would be the Magic. Paolo and Franz are great players, but this could be your Eastern Conference Finals. That was what all sports books would say.
Yeah, and these teams will be the Eastern Conference Finals preview, but like the logos will be, but the rosters will be completely different. Like, you hope that the Cavs get their guys healthy. You hope that the rotation is completely different than what you're going to see. So, like, while, yeah, we'll probably, hopefully be Cleveland and New York in the conference finals to go to the NBA Finals, like, again, I don't want any overreactions Thursday. That's my biggest thing. Like, if they lose this, like, you're without Garland, you're without Strus, you could potentially be without Hunter. Even if he plays, he hasn't practiced in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So, like, it's going to take some time for this group. It's not going to be what it was last year.
All right, last thing before we move on. Mike Brown, new coach of the New York Knicks. After Eastern Conference Finals appearance, they canned Tom Thibodeau. Rob, we're obviously familiar with Mike Brown here in Cleveland, very much so. What are you expecting out of Mike Brown leading the Knicks?
Okay, so one, everyone's going to get a lot more rest in New York. There's not going to be a bunch of 48-minute games in the regular season where they're playing the whole entire game. Mike Brown, known for his year where he had the Sacramento Kings looking like one of the best offenses in NBA basketball. And he's also a guy that at times he's coached a different style, but mostly an offensive mind after he started coaching under Steve Kerr in Golden State. Look for him to just get guys more involved. It's going to be an adjustment period for them, too. I mean, I expect to see a lot less just straight Jalen Brunson ISO ball and a little more movement out of New York. But Mike Brown's definitely going to be looking to make them more of an offensive powerhouse and build off the defensive structure that Tibbs left behind.
All right, well, before we move on, I do want to promote Lakewood Truck Park, baby. Tomorrow, our Cavs are back in action. Full Court Cleveland crew is going to be there doing a live show. I believe 6 o'clock is when they're going to start, leading you up to game time. Obviously, that's Rafa Hernandez, Brito, Sam Amico, and Boobie Gibson, Cavs legend, going to be in the cut at Lakewood Truck Park. So if you're looking for something to do, you're in the area, Lakewood Truck Park is the place to go. It's the funnest place around town. All right, guys, we're going to take a break. The Fall Classic is set. Blue Jays, Dodgers. Either getting a back-to-back World Series champion or a champion we haven't seen in quite some time. We'll discuss that when we get back right here on The Big Factor. Hey, everybody, welcome back into The Big Factor here on the Big Play Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. Ryan Tyler, Jack O'Rourke, Nick Pino, and Rob Watson. The Fall Classic is set. The Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. Before we dive into that, Halloween is here. Basically, it's the time to get spooky, guys, and if you like that, then you need to head to Bloodview Haunted House. Ready to get into the Halloween spirit? Then grab your friends and head over to Bloodview Haunted House in Broadview Heights, because it's not just a haunted house, it's an interactive experience where the nightmares come to life, and the best part about it all, we love charity. Every ticket helps support local charities. Open weekends through Halloween, Friday and Saturday nights, open until midnight. Sundays are open until 10 p.m. So if you're looking for big scares and a good cause, Bloodview is the place. You can get all the details at bloodview.org. All right, guys, the Fall Classic is set. Dodgers versus the Blue Jays. What a game last night. George Springer is an October hero. He launches a 3-run home run to get the Toronto Blue Jays to the World Series. Here's my trivia question for you guys. I know we love trivia here on The Big Factor. George Springer now has hit 23 postseason home runs, the third most in MLB history, behind which two players?
Barry Bonds.
Reggie Jackson,
No and no.
Giancarlo Stanton.
One
He's
of
got a
these
bunch
guys,
now.
one of these guys is still playing. The other one's retired, and we know him very well.
Not Stanton.
No,
Retired
Miguel
MVP.
Cabrera.
no, that's a
Manny
good guess.
Ramirez.
Manny Ramirez
Oh, I like
is the
that.
most
Good
with
one,
29.
Good one.
And the other one, Jose Altuve.
I don't even watch
Oh,
baseball.
Altuve?
Wow.
Wow. I would
Who let me
27.
cook?
He
Post-
was
He's not even the
Home
baseball
run.
guy,
Yeah,
man.
it's him.
the buzzer helped Altuve.
Yeah,
this
yes,
is
it did.
This is a third fall classic for the Toronto Blue Jays. Their first since they won back-to-back titles in 1992 and 93. For the Los Angeles Dodgers, they're looking to become the first franchise to win back-to-back World Series since the 1998 to 2000 New York Yankees. Jack, we get to see Shane Bieber in a World Series, but it's not for our Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah, I was gonna say I saw Nick tweet about Shane Bieber as well last night, but I have changed my Guardians offseason plan. Maybe it was the mustache, maybe it was I think it was 5 strikeouts he had early on, but we need that guy back in Cleveland. I don't care if we have 9 starting pitchers. You need to find a way to get that guy back. Do what the Cubs did back with Aroldis Chapman in 2016, or sorry, that you trade the guy at the deadline, then you sign him back in the offseason, you get a little bit for him there in the interim, but it sucks. I'm going to be honest, like I think a lot of people around Cleveland are happy about the Blue Jays. I'm not. It's our players. Like it's guys who were in our lineup every single day who are going to a World Series. I don't know how you could possibly be happy about that. Like Ernie Clement was the 13th hitter on our roster for 2 years, never hit above 210. Guy goes over, up, gets a passport, and next thing you know, he's hitting 350 in the playoffs. I mean, Andres Gimenez hitting the ball the best he has in a couple of years now. Like, I'm heartbroken. It stinks. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I don't like it.
Jack is the jealous ex.
I am.
He is
Oh,
the
a billion
jealous ex.
%.
He
Sign
is
me up.
Not happy for any of his former guys.
Either
No.
way, you were going to get some fan favorites of Cleveland in the World Series, whether it was Josh Naylor with the Mariners or what it actually turns out to be Shane Bieber as well as Andres Gimenez. Okay, I made my question here, and I
Miles
think
Straw
this is
in
an
the World
obvious
Series.
answer.
No,
And
Miles
Ernie
Straw
Clement,
the
Miles
World
Straw,
Series.
plethora. It's really the Cleveland Blue Jays.
At least we didn't trade Yanni or Diaz for
I
him.
think I know the answer to this one. Well, actually, maybe not based on what you just said, Jack. Who are we rooting for? I'm certainly rooting for the Blue Jays. The Dodgers are the empire.
Kind of a win-win World Series for me. Weird to
Really?
say. I think the Dodgers winning would be cool because it kind of stands 10 toes down on the whole take that, hey, Major League Baseball's got a big problem here. You probably got to put some heads in the room and sort out
Smart man.
what this does for the sport. And I think like those conversations are going to happen independently of what happens over the next couple of weeks. But I really think that the Dodgers winning again puts a magnifying glass on that. You've got the Dodgers manager snatching a reporter's microphone in the post game and yelling, "Let's win 4 more and ruin baseball." Like that's going to raise some eyebrows. That's going to get the attention of, the commissioner. That's going to get the attention of the other 31 owners or 29 owners around baseball. So fascinating angle there. And then I definitely, can get behind the Guardians angle. Like it would be very cool to see Ernie Clement win one. He was a big fan, big play for a long time. We would bring him on from the clubhouse sometimes way back in the old big play reflog days. Shane Bieber was tremendous to us as well during his time here. Like we went out to Arizona and we were kicking with him for a couple days. So I'm a big fan of the Toronto Blue Jays just because of all of our former guys. So I'm split here. It's like for me it's a win-win World Series. I'm glad it was Toronto and not the Mariners.
Vladdy's my favorite player. Go Blue Jays.
I will
Glad you're the dog.
absolutely be rooting for the Los Angeles Dodgers to win the World Series. And it's because
Kid's
of the
weird.
point Nick made, though. If the Dodgers win the World Series, then I can shut my brain off of baseball until March and just reason in the back of my head of, okay, no one was going to beat them anyways. Like, they're an unbeatable Death Star super team. We're $200 million away. No matter what we run out there, like, baseball is just fun, and it's nice to watch warm weather, hot dogs, and Guardians baseball, right? If the Blue Jays win, that means that despite the amount of money going around baseball, you specifically watched your former GM go out and get a bunch of your players knowing that they were good enough to go and win a World Series and then doing it by putting them around a star player like Vladdy Guerrero Jr. I would much rather put my head on the pillow in a world where I don't have to think that my team has a chance to win the World Series. So I would go Dodgers win this series to save my mental health.
I need the Blue Jays to win so I can see him crash out.
I will if the Blue Jays win the World Series. You're gonna see the
the
happiest you'll
chaos.
ever see Jack O'Rourke is our suit and tie episode when Brian Kelly gets fired from LSU. The lowest you'll ever see Jack O'Rourke is when the Blue Jays win the World Series.
Well, speaking of champions, the Ohio State Buckeyes looking to go back-to-back. They remain number 1 in the AP poll. Can they be beaten? I don't think it's going to happen in the regular season, that's for sure. We're flipping over to college football when we get back right here on The Big Factor. Hey, everybody. Welcome back into the Big Factor here on the Big Play Sports Network. Ryan Tyler, Jack O'Rourke, Nick Padone, Rob Watson. We're flipping over to college football. Already 8 weeks through the college football season. Looking at the Week 9 AP poll, Ohio State remains at number 1. 60 first-place votes. Indiana comes in at number 2 with 6 first-place votes. Kurt Cignetti getting a massive contract extension, well-deserved. A&M comes in at number 3. Rounding out the top 4 is Alabama coming in. They're 6-1. Georgia 5. Oregon 6. Georgia Tech at number 7. Ole Miss at number 8 despite losing. Miami losing to Louisville. They dropped to number 9. And rounding out the top 10, those Vanderbilt Commodores. I know Jensen Lewis is somewhere smiling right now. Big 12 leading. BYU, they're at 11. Notre Dame, Jack, they're at 12. And then my Cincinnati Bearcats got to give a shout-out at number 21. Boy, do I want to see them in the Big 12 championship and win and get a ticket to the dance. But the main topic is Ohio State because right now they're undefeated. I mentioned 60 first-place votes. Are they going to lose all year? I don't know. If they do, it's probably not going to happen in the regular season. Right now, your next opponents, you're on a bye this week. Penn State was supposed to be a marquee matchup. Not anymore. We know why. Then Purdue, UCLA, Rutgers, and then you finally top it off, as usual, against number 25 Michigan at the Big House.
That's the game if they lose in the regular season. That's the one. But I mean, they don't look that good this year. Underwood's not. The hype hasn't been matching up to how he's been performing as these seasons gone on. But that's still been a bugaboo for Ryan Day. That's something he's gonna have to figure out, and especially to go into Michigan to do it, it's gonna have to be his first win. It's got to come at some time, or else they're gonna fire up all those conversations even after winning a national championship about how it's unacceptable that you keep losing the only game that matters all year.
We're like at the point now with this Ohio State team where people are really wondering, like, was this schedule a good thing or a bad thing? Because it's obviously a good thing. It lets you potentially run the table here, but could it be a bad thing? Because are you really prepared for like a difficult matchup? Maybe not in the first round of the college football playoff. Like, you guys remember round 1 of the college football playoff last year? There were so many blowouts, but like in round 2, you know, maybe you could get like slipped up by a team that's a little bit more physical than anybody that you've faced to date. Ohio State's a wagon, and like you look at their schedule, they're not going to be tested until that game against Michigan, unless maybe UCLA with this whiz kid offensive coordinator could pull some tricks out of his bag. But Matt Patricia has the defense humming, so I don't think that's really going to happen either. I don't think, guys, really there's anything standing in Ohio State's way. Like, as long as you get past Michigan and you're able to get that off your back and you're able to go into the college football playoff with a clean slate after a Big Ten title game, I wouldn't want to play Ohio State if I was any other team because they look so balanced. Like, you want to give all the credit to the defense because they've been so dominant, but then like every week Julian Sayin is like getting better, and every week they're unlocking new things offensively. So like you want to just be like, oh, they're one-dimensional. It's the defense. Like, if they ever face a big offense where they're gonna have to win a shootout, like how's that gonna go? I think it would go all right. Like, Julian Sayin's proving that he can deliver the ball where it needs to be. So really fun Ohio State season.
It's good, but I see the point of how last year they played 3 playoff teams in the regular season and you were battle tested going in. And that was a veteran squad. This year with a much younger team, granted Texas was supposed to be that big test, but we are seeing how that's turning out. And Michigan is going to be a big test because it's a big rivalry game. But you're going to have to beat a team like, say they get matched up with a Texas A&M that's going to put up like 40 points. Will they be ready to do that in a huge spot where there might be some adversity in a neutral site game or something where they get tested and they really have to do something and your freshman quarterback has to step up in the moment? There's still that little room for error that they might not get pushed out of them to hash out in the regular season that they might just only find out about in the playoff.
I think back to Michigan for a second. Like, I don't think nationally people are talking enough about how bad that offense is, just like from square one. Like, Bryce Underwood throwing the football is like a stone's throw ahead of like the Shea Pattersons, the Wilton Spates, like the terrible Wolverine quarterbacks that not the opposite have dominated the last decade or so of this rivalry. But it's going to be, Nick, it's going to be huge to see, like, they're not going to play in the first round. So yeah, when you get that Cotton Bowl or like whatever that second round game is, it's going to be massive to see how they can do against a real football team, because like Ethan Grunkemeyer and Penn State isn't going to be that test.
This is why I love the new format of college
Bama
football, the 12-team expansion, and we'll see if it continues to grow from there. But you're looking right now like your 12-team playoff. You could have teams like Georgia Tech, Vanderbilt, a BYU, a Cincinnati. I think it's so great for fans, most importantly and foremost, for teams that are able to get in a shot and even just getting to the dance. Yes, if a Cincinnati, if a BYU, if a Georgia Tech, a Vanderbilt gets into the dance, are they going to win it? No. I think that's safe to say, but I love where college football's at right now.
Yeah,
and
Georgia,
at some
Georgia
point
Tech is
we
like the
will
story of the
see a
season.
big upset. Like at some point, like
Yeah.
you
It's
know,
possible that it could happen to Ohio State. It could be one of those games where you match up against the 8 that's been battle tested all year. You're the team that's not really played anyone. You dominated, but you get into a slippery game. Georgia Tech plays a funky style of offense. You're not ready for a guy like Haynes King or whatever.
Dude, he's gross.
Or you're looking ahead and you're saying, oh, well, we're going to have Georgia or Bama next week. And you slip up and you lose a game like 28-24, and now your season's over. It's loading up. It's possible, man.
All right, we're going to take our final break of the show. When we get back, boy, I'm happy basketball's back. I know you all are all excited as well. We'll debut our FanDuel Parlay of the day, and we'll hedge you off on your Tuesday. We'll be back right on The Big Factor. Hey, everybody, welcome back to The Big Factor here on the Big Play Sports Network, presented by FanDuel. Ryan, Tyler, Jack Work, Nick Pannone, Rob Watson. We're wrapping it up here on Tuesday morning. Before we head out of here, we got to give you guys our FanDuel Parlay of the day. Basketball is back. Jack, you've been in your bag with these hockey picks.
Yeah.
Nick, why don't you tell us about FanDuel, and then we'll head out of here as some winners.
FanDuel's got an offer you don't want to miss this NFL season. New customers can bet just $5. Get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet $5. If it wins, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the FanDuel app. I know you Baker haters out there put your $5 on the Detroit Lions last night. That would have got you $300 in bonus bets on FanDuel. You could build parlays like we're about to do. You could bet some player props, ride the live lines, whatever your style. FanDuel has you covered. The NFL season, it's here. The only question is, are you ready to play? Visit FanDuel.com/bigplay to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Must be 21 plus, present in Ohio, first online real money wager only, $5 first deposit is required. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit FanDuel.com/RG.
Jack, we've been doing this a long time now. You know what to do.
Let's do it, baby. Starting off, we got SGA. It's ring night, right? Getting some rings out here.
With Kevin
At
Durant
OKC
coming
at
back
Chesapeake
into
Bay
town.
Arena. Here we go. SGA to score 30 points with the
Mr.
Rockets to keep it close on ring night, taking that +7. Then we're heading over to the ice a little bit, right? We got the LA Kings on the road, take on the St. Louis Blues. We're going to take the Kings. They've had 3 days in a row off to get some rest. They've lost a couple games in a row. They're going to get right back on the good side of it, one of the leaders in the Pacific Division. And then, hey, Matthew Schaefer and those Islanders, the first overall pick. We're going to be watching them closely. They got the terrible San Jose Sharks coming
That's
into their
just
building.
terrible.
Those are terrible, yeah. SGA 30 points, Rockets +7, LA Kings money line, Islanders money line. Book it.
Alrighty, appreciate everybody tuning into the Big Factor here on Tuesday morning. Shout out our great friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. Shout out Fairway Ford. Shout out Garage Beer. And again, shout out Bloodview Haunted House. Halloween right around the corner. Don't miss your opportunity to go get some good scares for a good cause. We'll be back tomorrow. Same people, same time. Until then, have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday, and peace out.